Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to continue working on my village life panel. I've got a lot done, so I need to bring you up to speed on what I've done and what my plans are. And then I'm going to toddle off and keep working at it. Hours and hours has gone into this. And then I'll come back at the very end of the video and I believe it will be done. So let's wind back to last time I saw you, I was placing down the fabric. I've then gone and with cream thread, big long stitches, and then come back with sewing machine thread and couch those big stitches down so that they don't wriggle. So they're 100% secure. And I did that to all of the lines that Susanna had printed on her panel, bringing them to the forefront. What did I change? I was talking in my last video about weaving something here because there's checkers there. Let me show the piece. This here. Susanna has stitched these with satin stitched to get that checker plate. I thought, I'm going to do something a little bit different. So my head weaving. Well, I went looking for a blue and a white ribbon. I didn't own anything the right size. I then looked at lace, I looked at fabric, I looked at so many different options and just nothing really, I don't know. And it was to the point where I was going to hop in the car and go to Spotlight and just wander around and see if I could find something. And I thought, no, that's just silly. Let's get the weaving out of my head and come up with a new suggestion. And I found this piece of cream lace, which was actually taller than the canopy. So I was able to tuck it in and under. And then the top was very plain because the lace is decorative on the bottom and then it was just plain. So then I laid a second piece of lace over the top and I'm really happy with that result. Let me just zoom in so you can see. So the lace, this white cotton lace was probably about that big and it's tucked in under, which gave me that bulbous look to the little awning. So I'm really pleased with the way that that's come together. While we're zoomed in, French knots on the panel, there's little dots here where Susanna had the thought of little flowers. So I've done the same thing. I've added let's come back out, staying on that same house. I've added a second flower pot, what do you call them? Window box. Flower window box here. So I'm going to do French knots on there. I just haven't got to that stage yet. All my doors are pretty much as per the pattern, but then I started mucking around and I've made a flip open door like I did on the chapel. I've got the two doors that open. So I'm yet to stitch the hinges on, so it looks like they're actually there. It's just been glued into position. Fabric in boxes. So what I did here with the fabric in the boxes to start making it look like a village of traders to do with the quilting industry is I got some iron-on backing. I'm just going to bring this over because we're going to need all of these bits. I really wanted the stuff that has the paper one side, the glue this side, and then you peel it off and then you get glue again to iron it onto the fabric, but I didn't have any. All I had was this really old piece of interfacing with glue one side. So I thought, well, that'll do. I'll make the most of it. So I glued some little pieces of it onto some little scraps. That at least stops it from fraying, which is probably the main reason I wanted to go down this track. And I then was able to cut out the shapes I needed. So from those little few bits and bobs, I can pop them in the bin now because I'm finished with the fabric. I was able to cut out some little rectangles, the box itself in a brown fabric, and I've then used my glue stick and a little bit of art glitter glue for an extra grab to pin it down to the fabric itself. And I'll go back through with a very fine needle and pop a few little stitches in there just to make sure it doesn't, come off. So I've yet to do that. I've drawn in a little table and chairs here. And as you know, I've been contemplating changing the name of the shops. So I've come up with cafe And what I've done is, instead of stitching them on here, because I had it drawn and I was going to go ahead and just embroider the names onto the buildings, is I've got a piece of fabric and I've pre-drawn it onto this. Then I can cut them out and they will look three-dimensional, like an actual sign has been attached to the building. So that was my theory behind that. And I'm thinking I'm just going to use a chocolate thread, chocolate coloured thread. So where's my little sewing basket of goodies? Set myself up with a few things, otherwise I forget. As I do the video, I just throw in some bits and pieces, then I know I've got everything that, you know, we talked about. So that's what I'm going to do with the signs. So what did I decide on the end? Cafe, a lace shop, and cakes at the moment. That might change, but at the moment that just felt so lacy, and that's where the lace shop comes in. Over this side, no swinging doors. I'm yet to put some hinges on these doors. It just needs a little bit more detail. I've got the basic shape, but nothing else. For the peaks of the houses, remember I found that piece of crocheting, the second piece, fit really well. It was more of a sharp angle that suited the house. So I've individually cut those and stitched them all down so they're not going everywhere. Dropped in those lines just to help that roof line sort of take its shape. Now, quilts. Now, you would have already seen a video earlier in the year which alluded to my little rabbit hole of making miniature quilts. Now, this lady is online, Teresa Down Under. She has a video where she shows you how to make miniature quilts. And when you go into her description, she gives you 2 free patterns, which are the 2 that she makes in the video. She also offers a link to her Etsy store where you can buy a whole group of them. I can't remember how many there are, but there's heaps. The link will be down below as well. So you can make lots and lots and lots of miniature quilts. And as you know from when I was doing a quick Saturday video talking about what's on my desk, I attempted the geese quilt, but somehow jiggered it up and it turned into just 2 triangles with 4 triangles around. And what I've done is attached it to the railing of this house. She's a big quilt compared to the size of the house and the doors, but it's a big quilt. So I just thought it's just a little decorative element. Nothing's really in proportion when you look at this whole piece, but I really wanted a quilt hanging over the balcony, which was based on Teresa Down Under's patterns, which sort of took me on a whole journey of quilts. So I'll get to the 2 on the side. There was a 3rd quilt that I made, but I just didn't like it and it's disappeared. I don't know where it's got to. It wasn't a pieced, stitched together quilt. It was a pre-printed piece of fabric. And it just didn't look the same as these. And I put a cream border on it and it was just so in your face. I used a bit of this fabric here, this buttery cream. And it's all I could see was this cream border. And I don't know, it's fallen behind the couch. I've lost interest in that one. So the shops over here, fabric, buttons and old quilts will be the signs, and they too will be hanging on their own accord with a little attachment point. I will follow the same idea as having a stitch to make it look like they're actual signs hanging, but that's the shops over here. And cake, cafe, lace will be the little ones this side. So what else did I do to bring you up to speed? Oh, that's a pom-pom trim. I think I picked it up a cheapy shop. It was in a little pack wound onto a piece of cardboard, little pom-pom trim. I think I got it around Christmas was when I saw it. And I've had it for a while, so I was like, ooh, I can finally use that. What else have I done? That's probably about it on houses. I'll stitch in the little tables and chairs. I might put a few more pot plants around, but I'm just not sure because now we're getting back to the perimeter of the piece. Now let me just zoom up a little bit and show you where I'm heading with that. So I put this piece of sisal trim through. I figured we needed a path, a footpath, you know, in the westerns where they'd line up timber in a row and the ladies would walk along the timber, and this was just all dirt and where the horses went. That's sort of the feeling I sort of wanted to portray with this piece of sisal trim. Now I've come down this side. I'd finished here, up the top here. So I've put in a patch here, 1 and 2. Then, oh, there's just not enough room. Then I pinned one of the little quilts I made, which was too big for the houses. This was only a little guy. And especially when I folded him back as if he's folded over the balcony, see, like that, it sort of brought him down in size again, which worked. And then the third one I made is sitting over here. And I thought they're going to anchor the bottom and sort of set the scene for this as a whole quilt sort of township. So as I come down with those bits of fabric, I will invisible stitch them down, and then I'll come back with some decorative stitching like I did back here, way back when. See how that's all got some top stitch? I haven't yet had a chance to do the rest of it, the borders. Then I thought, well, I need something to add to the bottom. And I pulled out of my pile of lace to the side here. This is trim that's come off of a doily that has been trimmed down, because in the center of the doily, or table runner or tablecloth, whatever it was I cut down, are all of these. So I sort of keep the whole tablecloth as I deconstruct it, which gave me a corner, and it was trimmed about there. So I'm thinking, well, I'm going to grab that corner, I'm going to use it. So that's when the corner was pinned in. None of this is stitched, so that's what I'm going to do this evening, and then sort of carry on with the building of the garden again. So that little quilt is tucked there. I fussy cut flowers there and there, so it gives you an idea of where I'm heading with it, which is pretty much hitting repeat on what I've done further up. So when I got over to this side, this edging continued on for another 20 centimetres until I hit another corner. So I we've got to fake a corner. So what I decided to do is I cut it, got rid of the bit that was in the middle. That's the bit that was in the middle. And then it had the next corner. It was quite a long runner, as you can see. I brought that corner into here and up. So I'll tuck in some fabric scraps to continue up that line as I did on the other side, and then build in my flowers around this corner, working my way towards the center. And what I'm thinking I'll do is I'll just stitch this seam together. We'll hardly notice it at all, because I can drift some flowers down onto this. I can have some flowers coming from the bottom of that quilt, you know, down and obscuring the view. So that's where I'm at. Any questions? Gosh, I've been at this for so long. I think it's because I decided just to get in and get it done, get it filmed, and then I can, you know, clean up my desk and put it all away, and it's ready for the retreat. So that's pretty much it. I'm so close to the finish line. So it's just a case now of catching the garden bed along the front, finishing the border, a few more little details on the houses themselves, put the signs up for the shops. Here comes Fudgy. I'm just trimming this. I've got myself a bit skew-if, and if I need to just readjust, because my bracelet's going to hit the glass if I don't have that mat to lean onto. Fudgy, puss puss. Oh, puppy dog. So it's in the afternoon going into the evening at the moment. Bandit. So, hey Fudgy, come puss puss. Yeah, it's been a busy day and I haven't got a lot done on my piece. I thought I was going to get a good day at this, but it just all went to crazy town from 7 a.m. in the morning. It was just phone calls and work and, oh, goodness me. So I feel like I finally got, I think 2 o'clock, I sat down. It must be about 5:30 now, maybe 6. I sat down at 2 o'clock and just started putting a bit more thought on it, this piece. And I came in here because I needed glue and an iron. So I did these. I was going to do them on camera, but I thought you guys can get the general gist of baskets of fabric. You don't need to watch that. Then once that happened, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I started looking for things to do that didn't really leave you guys behind. So that's when I did this side, and that led to the bottom, and I thought, oh, here we go. I better turn on the camera. So that's as quick as it was to get sidetracked, and hence why I'm filming at 6 o'clock at night. So I'm trying to disguise this. So I'm just going to, I think, do that. I'll pin it for now, but and at the end of the day, I do need to start with stitching the back on first. I'm sort of putting the, what they call it, the horse behind the cart. You've got to put the horse before the cart. I don't know. I use that saying all the time and it stumps me every time. So that's the plan. I will just bulk it up with flowers and drift my way across. I did have an idea too of bringing a few of these pretty guys up as well, just to break it up a little bit again. Yeah, like that. Just to start bulking up the area. So it's not such a straight lineal line. Just adds a little bit of interest. And then build flowers from there. There we go. Any others there I can use? Oh, yes. I've used a few of those. Bits of further up, so that'll tie all that in. So that's the plan. It's now build the garden again, I guess. One of those, I cut it down to get the flower out of the inside. Remember that? I'll do that again. Just gives me another little element. And these little fawny coloured lacy bits, they can be used as well, just to add a bit of texture to the garden. Like so. There we go. I need some more flowers, don't we? I really am getting ahead of this. Will I keep going? Yeah, I'll keep going. I'll just fussy cut them out. You guys can have a, I might zoom in a little bit. You guys can have a look at the screen and just catch yourselves up, because I have shot ahead a little bit. I'm going to fussy cut out a few more flowers, so then I've got them all ready to go. We might place a few, and then I can probably, I might take a photo with my phone, and then I'll probably peel it all back off and start with stitching down the bases, getting everything, the key elements in position, and then start building, you know, the garden bed again. Same as what I did at the top. Just have a think about your layers. What do you need to get in first? Okay, another flower. Might do a cluster here, and then that corner. Yeah, that's what we'll do. So I'm going to grab some more flowers. Just do a rough cut. Won't be many left by the time we finish. which is good. I think this was a fat quarter, if I remember rightly. It just gave me enough for the whole project. I've still got leaves there that I can pinch out to poke in around, because some of these flowers are just blue flowers, so you might need a little bit of greenery. So I've got a couple leaves. Any more flowers? There's another one. So I hope you've all been well. I've thoroughly enjoyed this project. I've thoroughly enjoyed seeing everyone's interpretation of the project on our Facebook page. It's been really cool. It's amazing the differences that people come up with applying fabrics and threads, and very clever. Makes you want to do another one, because you see colour combinations and you're like, oh, that'd be nice. I still haven't ruled out doing another project with this, because I still have this needle book in my mind. I just can't get rid of it. Whether I get it squeezed in this year or I pull out the piece and do it next year, I don't know. We'll see how the year goes, but I have a spare panel and I just have visions for this. And the other thing that I thought about too is using that panel and adapting it to Jennifer Clouston's satchel. Where's that? Over here. See this here? We could do the shops in a row. It'd be a bigger version of it, of course. The shops in the row would be the panel, and then inside we pop our bag and just upscale the pattern. So I'm sort of thinking about it. It might be next year, so if you're thinking that might interest you, let me know. I think it'd work a treat. But we'll see. The year is going to slide so fast. Oh my goodness. I really want to get started on some Christmas projects and get my Christmas panel cooking. All right. I think that's all the flowers I'm going to get out of this. I think we've finally nibbled it all. And now it's just a case of piecing these last few elements, and then I can decide how much more I need to go hunting for to, you know, bulk it up. Because there's some other flowers that we've used in the past. I've created some flowers. There's a bit of ribbon embroidery in amongst it, beads. So pretty much hit repeat. It's good when you've nutted out your design on something like this, and then you get to another area and it's the same design. So it's just a case of autopilot and away you go. I might give this a little iron, because my iron is still clicking away, sitting there to the side of me from when I did this, the bolts of fabric. So I'm just going to lean across. I'll give him a little iron. He's a bit wonky, that flower. Don't do it, Bandit. He was sitting there quietly. He gets this big huff and puff about him. And he's like, oh, I've got to go. I've got to leave. There's a noise. I've got to investigate. It's like this time of the afternoon is like in the morning when I'm trying to film and everyone's out walking their doggies, and Bandit's just like, oh, could I go? Please, Mum. Can I go hang with them? It'll all settle down soon once the sun sets. And then about midnight, they start woofing at possums walking across fence lines, or noises and rustling in the dark. And it's like, Bandit. He was so restless last night. It was 1 a.m. in the morning. And he was woofing and woofing. And I was like, oh my goodness, what's going on? The security light came on. You know, every so often this happens. And in the past, it's been a big green tree frog that's been going up the wall, or has come from their area, and they've been playing with it and annoying it, and it's finally got itself away. And then it then sets the sensor off, and he then goes to that edge of the pen where they are, the enclosed area where they sleep at night. It's not that small of an area. It's a patio that we've temporarily fenced off because they get up to mischief. They gather up frogs and they just so they've got to be into bed, no mucking around. Mum wants to have a sleep. So it keeps them safe too. They can get up to all sorts of mischief at night. Keeps all the native animals safe. I'd spend all night going to the window and seeing what are they up to. So I'm just going to lightly scatter what I've got because I'm going to need more. But that's all right. I've got plenty of other fabrics that we can use. I tell you, making those miniature quilts was fun. I was tempted to make more, but I did waste a lot of fabric, I must say. By the time I got up from my sewing machine, I was like, oh, that's a lot of fabric gone. So little leaf wherever. Alrighty, so I just want to grab my other container of these because there's some smaller ones in there and I want to work them in before I get to cutting up more fabric. It might actually save a bit of fabric usage. There's some little guys that I've used. They're a real soft, creamy colour. Is that one? It's half a one. Maybe I've run out. There's a little guy, we can use him. Just sort of looking for little morsels of interest. That's a good one because it's a different colour. Just sort of matchy-matchy. I think that's about the only one that I can use. I'll just pin it there for now. I'll put it over here. I'll tuck it in there. Got a bit of a funny little blank spot. Actually, what about those half ones? There's another one. Oh, lost it. No, there it is. Another one of those, and I've got a half one of that. So let's be clever and pop that into there. Yeah, they're very stark. Not convinced. Not convinced. See, I saw that and I went to pick it up. It's part of that pincushion. All right. What else have we got in the way of treasures? I love one of those. I was putting in a bit of lace, embroidery lace, or not embroidery lace, what do you call it? Lace that's got a bit of this. Maybe I can go a bit bigger. No, just keep it as little bits, girl. Don't go and change the recipe at this late stage. Just gives me 3. That'll do for now. little bits. Sort of getting down to the little elements that make it look interesting. There we go. A couple of those here and there. And then I'll do, there was some fabric out of that jelly roll that I was cutting blue leaves out of, if I remember rightly. Just a case of, look, we might as well use that. Why not? Let's see if we can find a good spot for it that it doesn't look odd. Because it's certainly not a piece I've used. That piece was left. Where can we add it that it doesn't look odd? I think it will. Why don't we have it going up the quilt? Yeah, the quilt needed, I can't even see, can you? I'm too zoomed in. Let me bring it up a bit. The quilt just needed something a bit interesting on it because it's very plain. That might do it. I feel like we could probably even work a bit of this in like I've done before. I had it tucked in behind flowers just to break up blue on blue, sneak a little bit of texture in. It just helps create interest. So what else do we need to consider? All my beads are still in a container that I've used sitting to the side of me. So I've sort of got all those here, and then that's my bead soup that I was using. So I'm pretty much set to go colour-wise. There's a brown that I could use for the stitching. This guy, I was wondering where it got to do this. It might be too brown. The other colour that popped into my mind was dark blue. But it sort of felt like I was getting a bit too comical there, blue on blue. No, that's okay. That'll work. It matches the pot, so it's not like it's a jarring new colour. So, and I'll do split back stitch to stitch the words, and it will be 2 strands, I would think. So can I use a little bit of this again? Might as well. I'm thinking over here, just tuck it in under this foliage here. There we go. Right, so what other flowers can we nibble out of some fabric? Where's the blue? Here, this. I tidied up because it was out of control. It was just mess everywhere. You watch, I'm going to have it all unraveled again. It's this fabric in behind here. This guy has the leaves. Those are my leaves. I wonder if I could use those flowers. Did we use them in the beginning? I had a feeling we might have. Oh yeah, we did. Let's bring them back in. Might as well. That'll give us some little itty bitty bits. And we might take that. And that'll give me more of those. Okay, that should be heaps. I'm going to wrap this up before it becomes a mess again. Aren't jelly rolls a challenge? Once you unravel them, getting them back into some form of order. Hoagie Frost, it can be a real challenge. This project's been sprawled on my desk over a week now, being worked on, and oh my goodness, it was so good to fold up all those fabrics and, you know, get myself a little. I can't do it on camera, guys, because I don't want to knock those little flowers. Yeah, it felt so refreshing to have it organised. Here comes the fudge again. I won't be needing this again, I do believe. That's the fabric I used in the centre of that little quilt. It's like a diamond. See, by now we'd be sitting in the lounge room having had dinner, and the fudge would be looking for a lap. So he's over at the door of the lounge room meowing at me to say, well, what's going on? Why are you not, I'm going to put them in there. Why are you not participating in our usual activities? So there was a bigger blue flower. Where's he got to? Here he is, this guy. Just need a few extra. Can you hear him? Looks like a menagerie here, isn't it? Just about every video has one of my pets bellowing or woofing or fudge. A pair of those dogs, they're sitting at the window to the side of me waiting for their dinner. I'm thinking, why is she not feeding us? I wonder if Fudgy's bowl's empty. I'm sure I gave him some food before I come in here. Possibly an issue. This has got a selvage here, but I'm hoping I can manipulate that. And maybe we can rearrange so that they tuck in over it. Let me disguise the fact. Yeah, that'll work. Now there were some green leaves here that I thought were just beautiful, so I'm going to take those as well. Hopefully you guys are all busy stitching and just listening, and you haven't noticed that I was off camera for all this fussy cutting. Okay, it's got some good green leaves here. Where are we going to put them? I think they need to pop up in here. Yep. Might just pop a few pins in. I do need to stitch everything down that's underneath this, but at least it's stationary and I can get a photo and go from there. Any other good leaves on this that I can nibble out? Really, they were good. Oh, there's some. Look, those there. I'd say that's about all I'm going to need. I want to leave a little bit of air there. I want to see those two. I think that will be it, because I've still got to add beads, blue leaves, little itty bitty flowers, embroidery. Like, it's not like there's not more to come yet. A that flower there because I'm going to need a bit of bulk of fabric underneath to be able to tuck it in somewhere. And I sort of felt like I wanted it up there, to be honest, just to bring a bit of foliage up the side of the house. That side of the house was really plain too, so I sort of had in my mind that I would do something a bit up the side of the house. I'd say I'll go looking for more of those little white flowers, these guys. I feel like I'll need a smattering of them through, a little bit more than what I've got. Now, what I might do is the last step will be to cut, just bear with me, cut the elements I need to finish this side under here. So that means I need to grab my check fabrics. Just take myself a chunk, fold it in half to get crease, and put this little guy on the edge. He's too similar to that, so I'll bring him down a little bit into there. Pop a pin in. Okay, so now we need something to go there. I have used a bit of floral on the side, but I do have a lot of floral on the roof. No, don't think I will. Just bear with me, guys. Maybe this guy, nice and neutral. Need a reasonably decent size. I'll make him a little bit wider so he comes out a little bit further, a bit more generous on my cutting. Lots of stitching here. Now that I've got all these bits precariously placed, that's good. You guys can at least see how I'm going to build the base up, the foundation for the whole village. Now I'm going to move that one out, bring that guy in there. Pin him. And I'll reposition this little guy. And so on until I get down to the corner. Now admittedly some of them are, oh, I don't like that. I'm going to do it that way. So it's a bit bigger, a bit chunkier. That's better. Just want it to look varied. Yeah, that's better. I can see more of it. And then I just need to find something to bring me down to the finish line. How are we going for time? Oh, plenty of time. So I'll come back at the end. I'll pause the video and I'll go and stitch. There'll probably be a couple days worth of stitching and show you the finished panel. Is that going to be too bold under there? No. Use one piece for now, and I might slip in some more. It's like as you clean up your space, you'll find morsels of fabric and you might go, oh, I'll stitch that on. I put the crease in just to help me with the turn. Don't have to. Some of them I didn't, but I sort of find that the fabric nestles better. Now, look, normally you wouldn't have all this palaver sitting on top. You'd be doing one task at a time. So I'm just giving you guys a really good snapshot of where I'm heading with it. There we go, just a little edge, which is good. I'll deconstruct it and go again. Move all these bits out and sort of work from the base back up, which I'm sure you guys realise. But for those new out there and you're wondering how you get to this point, it really is lay your foundations and then your elements on top. There we go. Okay, so now I've got my fabric all placed around the perimeter. I've got feature quilts and the clusters of flowers building around them. That'll grow. So I feel like I need a little bit more of that lace, so I'll probably add a little bit more glam in there. I've got a little square bottom to it, which I'm loving, and pretty much I will just repeat that gardening from there as well down, so it'll sort of bring it all together. Yeah, I think one thing I did think about adding to that is chimneys, but I've stitched them now. Doesn't matter, but it did pop into my mind. Okay, all right, well, I'm gonna pause the video. I'm gonna toddle off and finish stitching, and when I come back, the project will be done. How exciting. I'm going to miss it because it's just been such a labour of love. It's been really fun. Really, really fun. It's come together beautifully. All right, guys, I will pause and see you in a split second with it all finished. All right, guys, won't be long. Hello, I'm back and I have finished. Oh my goodness, hours and hours and hours of work, and it was just an absolute delight to do. So where do I start? The signage on the houses. Stitched all that. Did find that the one little sign, cakes, was too big for the space, but the others were fine. So I had to trim that guy back and re-stitch the little frame around him, and then I could cut it out and stitch it into position. So that was one little hiccup that I had. Everything else seemed to go to plan. I did run out of the finer white ribbon that I'd used through all of those flowers, but I did find a thicker one. So I've gone back through and just stitched a few with this thicker ribbon, sort of to blend it all back into the piece. What else did I do? I think there was pretty much not much change from when we, have gone through the video. I'll just bring it up to the camera. What I did was, when I left you guys, you know how I'd pinned all this? Of course, you've been watching like a split second ago. I just took it into the lounge room and I popped it onto the carpet, and I just gently transferred all the pins into these little elements. So this little guy came off and just sat on the carpet. This corner came off, sat on the carpet, and that corner came off. So then I could just focus on getting my border finished, and I did a little running stitch just on the end of all of those little pieces of fabric. I had done two ages ago, two little patches, but I just finished it off. I was going to frame it out, but it looked too, it looked too country. So I thought, no, I'll just straight down there. Now remember, I invisible stitched all of these little pieces, so they're not going anywhere. They're actually very secure because they've got this stitching in there. So it really came down to just a little decorative treatment for each of the patches. That allowed me to come down the perimeter here. It also then, because this element, this decorative piece was removed, I could then stitch on my trim that I'd chosen off of the a crocheted tablecloth, where I'd harvested all of the little circular motifs, and I'm left with these big long strips, which gave me natural corners. Now remember, the corner over here worked beautifully, and then there was at least 20-30 centimeters of trim that didn't fit because it was bigger than my actual panel. So I cut it and brought then the next corner back, and the actual join is in under these flowers, and you'd never know that's where it's joined. So it looks like it's a perfectly made crocheted trim for the panel, but I've actually joined it here and then drifted the flowers down. What else did I do? Not much else really changed. I thought I might go and get some more of the little bridal flowers to work into it, but I had enough. And by the time I did all of the embroidery into the centers of those big feature flowers, the blue guys and that one, like there's 4 there and the 5th is over here. Then I did the pistol stitch, then seed, then French knots, then beads, then come back through with the gold beads that drift in little clusters through the whole piece. There was plenty. Did not need any more of these little white bridal flowers. It was just enough, just little elements of it around. Now the little quilts, really happy with the little quilts. I honestly did not know that I'd be doing that at the end of the project. It's like this project has just morphed as I've trundled down the hill to the town. So to have these little itty bitty quilts and added to it as a feature to anchor the piece, I guess, love it. Absolutely love it. I cannot explain how. See, I don't know. I could not have thought of that, I don't think, at the very beginning. Or maybe I would have. I don't know. That just morphed. Absolutely morphed. And that's why this panel is just an absolute ripper. Little houses just have such potential. Once I got my little panel, my little quilt in my hand, I went back through and top stitched it all. Remember, this guy had big stitches on it that was the same thread as what I've used on the side here, and it just looked too chunky. It didn't suit it. I guess the sizing of the stitches didn't match the size of the quilt. So I went back just with cotton from the sewing machine and just did light little stitches on my little log cabin. And then I did it to this one and it just popped. It was very plain and it just came alive. Really happy with that. This little guy that went up on the balcony, he was already on the balcony, and I'm like, well, if I've done them, I might as well do him. So here I was trying to insert my needle in there to top stitch that little quilt. Oh goodness, I tell you, afterthoughts that you've got to try and, you know, work into your piece. That's just so much fun. The fabric in the bins out the side of the shops, love it. And I went back through and with that same thread just did little top stitches through. Oh my goodness, fiddly, fiddly, fiddly. When you see Susanna's, she's still got the butcher shop and she has stitched sausages and ham in those pear sausages and ham in the window of the butcher shop, and she put a little doggy there, and oh, it's just adorable. It just shows what you can do with little houses. So I'm going to call my piece, oh, I haven't done the smoke. Look at that. I was going to call this piece completed, but I haven't done the smoke, it would seem, and there's smoke at the top here, so I need to go and stitch that. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me through this process. I hope you're enjoying your panels, and yeah, traveling through your little village. It became very Pride and Prejudice, didn't it? The matriarch, the old girl up on the top of the hill who's controlling this town, even to the point where no one can plant any other flowers in the flower pots unless they are blue or white. I'm just looking at those houses, those shops. You know what I could do? Do I need it? Oh gosh, here we go. I feel like the windows could do with a little trim. That one there was the post office, and I haven't actually stitched in there. I think I need to pop that in there. Cake shop. Oh gosh. Calling it done. Yeah, right. All right. Going to be stitching that into there. Just needed something there. Do I put something over that window then? Seriously? Oh, you know what's going to happen. I'm going to go rummaging in my lace and see what I can find. For goodness sakes, put the piece away, girl. There's nothing really tiny in there. There was another one. See, that's the wrong shape. I am finished, right? Can't you tell? Can that work in there? Oh, yeah, it does. That piece is not actually on the panel. You know, another idea I had. Oh, gosh, don't do it, girl. Stop. You know, somewhere in amongst all this, I thought this place needs bunting. You know, little triangles. Gosh, little, I don't have a scrap piece of paper. Hang on. Let's get a piece of paper. I had visions of tiny little bunting on a cordage. I'm like, well, where would I hang tiny little bunting? Do I need to make tiny little bunting? Imagine that draped somewhere. Like, oh my goodness. It would look cool across the top of the house, wouldn't it? Oh my goodness. All right, we're going to do it. But we'll do it in the next video. Gosh, here I thought it was finished. I better change the wording on the front of this video because I'd written part 10 finished. Then I've dodged off to do all this and I've come back to film this and say, there you go, guys, we're done. And now there's going to be a part 11. We're going to make itty bitty we're going to make itty bitty bunting to hang on the house here. And you know why it came into my mind? As much as I love this, it was a bit plain. You see how it looks like a block? See, yeah, it needs itty bitty bunting. So I'm going to need some cordage that's really fine. I'm going to have to work out how to make some bunting. Can I make bunting out of that? No, it'll fray. Yeah, all right. Stay tuned, guys. Episode 11 coming. We're going to make some itty bitty bunting for our hat. When will this ever stop? Susanna, oh my goodness. Seriously? All right, guys. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to stitch on that onto the window because I just feel like it needs it. I like how it's got the two little flowers. Little window treatment, like a garland. It's a lace shop. Oh, it's got to happen. It's got to happen. It's the lace shop needs lace hanging off the window. Oh, isn't stitching so like this? But you put down your piece, you think you're done, and then you go back and you go, oh, there's an idea. Love it. It's a bit damaged. I think I can do better. Yeah, is that going to get any better? Just the way that lace is shaped? No, it's not, because I will cut exactly the same thing. I just thought that was a little bit damaged there. What do I do with the pin? Here it is. So that's going on there. That's going on there. Oh, goodness me. And we're going to make bunting for the villagers in the next video. All right, guys, I'll leave you alone. I'm going to have a think about bunting now. All right. Look after yourselves. Have a great day. Bye.